let's take a look at position classification and management in public service. Congress enacted legislation in 1853 establishing 4 major job classes, with salary rates for each. This legislation was frequently ignored, however, and all levels of government struggled with merit, equity, and consistency problems. The civil service reform movement, which started after the Civil War, changed the landscape of position classification and management over time. Nevertheless, the importance of reform should not overshadow other influences. At the same time that political influences were being reduced in recruitment, selection, promotion, decision, and other personnel processes, principles of modern management were being more generally introduced. By the early 1900s, Frederick Taylor's scientific management, whether or not it was truly scientific, held a great sway over the development of position classification processes. Taylor promoted the idea that there was generally one best way to accomplish any given task, a way that could be found through work analysis. Work analysis provided the means to select superior methods of performance, to identify those who could perform better, and provide superior training. Systematic job descriptions became commonplace, and work relationships became rationalized. Work analysis highlights differences and breaks work into component parts. Because of this, the scientific management movement then started a long-term trend of pigeonholing work, breaking it into hundreds and ultimately thousands of different jobs at dozens of different levels. The Classification Act of 1923, capturing the new wisdom of scientific management, provided a model of rational position management systems. It established that 1. Positions and not individuals were to be classified. 2. Job duties and responsibilities were to be the distinguishing characteristics of jobs. 3. Qualifications to be a critical factor in determining classification status. And 4. A member of a class would be qualified for all other positions in the class. The Classification Act of 1949 created separate schedules for white-collar and blue-collar workers, a change typical of the trend at the time of dividing personnel systems into occupational clusters. The proliferation of rank and position systems promoted the idea of fitting people to jobs. During this period, managerial efficiency and legislative control were emphasized on one hand, and employee procedural rights were increasingly enhanced on the other. Jobs tended to become narrower and less flexible. Equal opportunity substantially changed position management through legislation addressing discrimination based on race, color, religion, gender, national origin, age, and disability. Particularly important was passage of the Equal Pay Act of 1963, which addressed gender discrimination in pay. The notion of equal pay for equal work, regardless of personal characteristics of the job incumbent, was taken to its logical legal extension, as was the idea of equal opportunity for employment and advancement. Although unions in the private sector experienced a marked decline in the 1980s, unions in the public sector leveled off beginning in the 1990s. Even though both equal opportunity and worker representation have obvious benefits, the excesses of position management systems initiated after the Pendleton Act of 1883 had also become apparent. Broadbanding occurs when several grades are combined, creating a wide salary range for a position. The reinventing government and simplification initiatives of the early 1990s decentralized many personnel functions to the field and concurrently streamlined procedures so that field staff could implement them. Current civil service reform focuses on enhancing employee accountability to meet moderate or definable performance standards. A final historical issue is the effect by human resource experts to utilize a single overarching taxonomy of job titles so that jobs can be compared in and across industries and countries. It is used by federal departments such as the Bureau of Labor Statistics in its Occupational Outlook Handbook and the Bureau of the Census and the Office of Personnel Management in its federal classification and job grading systems. Although the hope is that other levels of government, as well as the private sector, will eventually gravitate towards the revised standard of occupational classification, such a convergence of systems will be slow to occur because of legacy compensation and classification systems.